I wanted to believe everything was fine, breathing in the perfect air. Voices that can see are voices that we need.
2, 3. Welcome back.
Welcome back to Photography and Media Made Easy.
Episode 5.
Wow.
We took a little break to live life a little bit. In June, we had my nephew's wedding, your cousin's wedding.
Yeah.
And that was kind of fun, except for a couple minor things.
It's been since
May. It was
right?
May, yeah. So we basically took June off. And again, the great thing that when we set up this whole podcast was we never did month. We never labeled the episodes month to month. We we labeled episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until infinity. So we're not on a time frame any given month to do. We could do it at the beginning of the month, the middle of the month, the end of the month. And then in July we had our pool tournament, which we did fairly well.
We got to
the quarterfinals in the Eastern Regional qualifier. If we would have won two more rounds, we would have went to Vegas. But that's neither here or there.
Top eight out of like 500 teams. So that's like crazy.
And we took a lot of pictures. In the preface of this video, I did some. I put some videos there and labeled them and how I shot them and that type of thing. Actually got back into the drone thing a little bit. It's something I put down for maybe a month and then I pick it back up, and like anything in life. I did want to kind of speak on, like I said, I mentioned earlier, we had my nephew and PJ's cousin's wedding in June. And it kind of brought up a couple points that I wanted to bring up. Obviously, they had a professional photographer, professional videographers. The venue was fairly small, so they basically requested nobody bring in like professional cameras, 35 millimeter cameras, and basically get in the way of the professional photographer. And I don't have a problem with that. But me personally, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a life experience. When I got married, me and my wife and PJ's mom got married. We hired who we thought we were hiring was the Cotterall, who was the owner of the photography company. Needless to say, he sent an associate. So here's the thing: he took okay pictures. Okay, the ones outside really can't mess up. We kind of lost him in the reception. He disappeared. I said you could have a drink. I think one drink turned into about 20.
Oh, wow.
But thankfully, my Uncle Ken did take some pictures. Again, they weren't professional quality, but at least they gave us an album. Captured the moment. And in my opinion, the reception is really where you want to capture it. Let the professional photographer do all the pose shots outside before the reception, because they are life memories, and you're going to have people in those photos that probably 20 years, 30 years from now, you won't even remember them, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I only have one experience as a photographer, and I was paid, I don't know, like $100. And it was, it's hard as a photographer. I mean, it's your job, but to know the family and their like different relationships, and that's why it's so much easier. Like if we're all family, like we're like, oh, like we're just gonna take pictures of these. Like it's harder on the photographer to come in and be like, oh, like everyone get together. Like I don't know who you guys are, but like
And in my experience,
at the reception, I'm not talking about
right, and obviously at the wedding, whether it's in a church or synagogue or wherever. We're outside, or wherever in Vegas, the little chapel. You kind of want to leave that to the professionals, only because you don't want to get in the way of those very important pictures. That being said, my feeling is, the candid shots, especially at the reception, are probably the most important, because they're the ones you're actually going to look back and say, oh, I remember that. I remember that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think a great idea, and Megan, my daughter, and I actually talked about it, because we went to a wedding time, and they actually had instant cameras on the tables, and basically the wedding couple asked to say, listen, take pictures, do us a favor, just give us the camera back so we can develop the pictures and look at them. And it's cool because you won't see these pictures obviously for 2-3 weeks, and you don't have no idea what's going to be on them. That's good.
That's super cool though. I love
Mhm.
that idea. Even for parties. I mean, that's a great idea. Just have a bunch of cameras lying around. I mean, what are they, like $15? Like they're like
You know what? You
very
could probably
cheap.
get a
Like
box of
Kodaks.
10 of them, 24 exposure, probably for like $50, and you'll have lifetime memories. I
Yeah.
mean, they come with the flag. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And then that's going to lead me into our next point. What setting is best to use in very important events like weddings, wedding showers, baby showers, graduations, things like that? So if you're a professional photographer, even professional photographers miss shots. Let's be totally honest. In the digital age, you can snap basically 10 pictures for the one that you're going to keep. Again, my personal opinion and the opinion of a lot of professional photographers is you want to shoot raw, obviously, to gather as much information, because if you do get a shot that's dark or light, you can adjust it in Lightroom or in Photoshop, whatever you prefer. But what I would do is I would actually put the setting on auto as far as the ISO. And then you can shoot um, basically any speed you want. If you want to drop down a speed, if you want to, different effects, things like that. If you're outside and you're in a controlled environment and you're taking pose shots, you can basically set the ISO to like 100 or 200. You don't want to really go any higher than that. I mean, 400 is okay. You start getting into 1,000 or 800 at ISO, the picture's going to be grainy. And the reason being, if you blow up that picture, if you get a really phenomenal picture of the whole wedding party and you blow it up, it's going to be really grainy. So you always want to try to shoot at the lowest ISO possible.
Mm-hmm.
Again, when you're in the reception, my feeling is set it to auto, still shoot in raw because you can still adjust it, and then you can adjust the speed as you go. Because if you have it in auto setting, it's going to be able to capture basically whatever you're doing, and you won't have those dark pictures. You won't have the pictures you have to explain, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, you could probably speak on that also.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I shoot like a lot. I have a camera.
We all do. Well, we should. It's part of the
yeah. But I shoot a lot, like on the iPhone. They make it so easy to, have a great picture without even knowing any of the camera settings. Like, I mean, I'm sure you could go into it if you really wanted to on an iPhone. I'm sure you can pick up the aperture and the ISO. I'm sure you could do that.
And again, we touched on this before, but on the new iPhones, you can actually shoot in RAW. It's just a button you tap. But
if you do that, there's no live picture. So if you mess up the picture, you can't go into the second. That's the only bad part.
That's the only negative. I agree.
Hopefully they fix that in the next ISO or iOS or whatever.
Which that's coming probably out next month, I would think.
Yeah.
So here's the other thing. Pose versus candid shots. Okay. Again, I get it. If you're shooting at a wedding and you're doing the formal pictures, they are mainly 90% going to be candid shots. But let's be honest. What are the funnest or the craziest and best shots normally? They're the crazy shots that are spontaneous when somebody like makes a face or it turns around at a weird point and you capture that moment. Yeah, pose shots are great. I mean, they're the picture you put on the wall, say, hey, you got married, whatever. But those candid shots, and people don't, again, I'm going to be honest, probably about 80% of people don't like having their picture taken. Unless you're...
I would even raise that higher.
Unless you're a narcissist, and then that's totally goes out the door, obviously, because there's people that we know that are on Instagram and literally take pictures of themselves every other minute. But that's beside the point. They're using filters and all that, whatever.
Oh, so, talking about me.
No. I have friends of mine that are, still doing that. But so here's my thing. Candid shots to me are great because guess what? You're not forcing somebody to do a pose. You don't want to obviously take a picture of somebody eating. You don't want to take a picture of somebody making a kind of a silly face or having, a bubble of beer in their cheeks or, whatever. Or, whatever. I mean, you basically want to take good, nice, funny, candid shots. And that's where it's nice when you have it on auto ISO so you can capture those moments. If you have to say, wait a minute, can you do that again? The moment's lost.
Yeah.
It's just forever lost.
And you brought up a good point because I feel like the portrait photos, like number one, even people that like their picture taken, like pose pictures are still kind of weird. But if you don't like your picture taken at all and you have to take a pose, like you're just out of your element. Candid pictures do a great job of like showing that person who they really are in their own element. Like it's just they're always better. They'll always be better.
And you do a lot of that, obviously, because a lot of your reviews that you do for Travel and Taste Buds, a lot of they're not posed pictures. They're basically you do a snapshot of maybe a 20-second clip, and then you go from there to keep somebody's attention. It's the same thing with photos. You want the photos to jump. Shout out to Mike, by the way, PJ's partner in crime. You got to check out their videos, by the way, before we get off track. Go on Instagram. There's probably about 15 of them.
Yeah.
He is a funny guy. Him and PJ have a really nice, great chemistry, especially the last episode. And the word of the day is preliminary. Just remember that, preliminary. You could all look it up and see what it is, and we could actually use it in a sentence. The preliminary opinion of this podcast is very good. Anyway, that's an inside joke. So basically, you want your photos to jump. Now, how do you make your photos jump? Okay, first of all, you want them to be exposed correctly. 2, you want them to be clear. You cannot correct clear. I don't care what people say. I don't care what you see on these apps saying they can clear up a picture. It can't be done. Okay, what they're doing is they're digitally enhancing it the best they can. Okay, maybe it does help it a little bit. You can't fix blurry. Can never fix blurry. No. You can fix under and overexposed, especially with today's technology in Lightroom. Years ago, you could do it in the dark room where you would actually under or overexpose. Basically, if you left the negative in longer, that means it would be a darker. If you took it out sooner, it would be a lighter exposure. That was very tough. That's one thing that I never tackled and don't plan on tackling that. But I do love using Lightroom. It's my preferred post-production software. I'm trying to get more versed in the Photoshop because there are certain things you can do in Photoshop. I do some tilt angle photos in there, which come out really cool.
Did you try the new Photoshop beta where you can like the AI stuff? Have you seen that? Where
you know what? I have not.
So it's free. You can.
So okay, because I have Lightroom, so I paid for it. Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Lightroom and Photoshop, they're a monthly prescription.
Well, if you get the Adobe, I think it's like
package
$20.
I think that's what it is. It's like $21, $22 per month.
I would definitely try the Photoshop beta. That's really cool. The videos that you can like, you can make a picture like where you're in front of like a really bad background, and then you can like just
change it.
You can say, make this in Disney World, and it's like crazy.
I could literally do probably 90% of the things I need to do in Lightroom. It's that 10% that you really want. If you really want a picture to pop, obviously Photoshop is a phenomenal tool, and I have a lot of respect for people that actually have mastered that because there is so much in Photoshop. I mean, I'm still learning Lightroom, but I pretty much have it down. I kind of know what I like, know what settings. I mean, I like the new update with Lightroom where you can. Basically you just hit background and you can change the background. And then if you hit the revert button, it'll do the foreground. So there's so many things you can do. If you ever get a chance, go in there, play with Lightroom. I'm sure there's free trial period type thing.
Yeah, I think it's 7 day or something.
The other thing I wanted to actually talk about is I actually, like I said, I got away from the drones. I mean, life gets in the way, weddings and pool tournaments and things like that. So the drone kind of took a back seat, but the great thing about that is I take it out and I fly it, and I put some videos in our this episode basically in the intro. So I'm showing you, the video I took, how I took it, what settings I used, what drone I used. So if you get a chance, kind of look at that. And here's the other thing I really wanted to touch on. I'm sorry, I'm monopolizing all the time.
Oh, you're good.
I have a lot of things to say because we haven't done this in about 2 months. But anyway, the music for drones, if you just watch a drone without music, it's literally like boring as hell. Let's call it what it is. So there's a couple sites that you can go on. So, and these are free, and they're totally license free, which means that if you use the music, I actually, like my favorites, I actually put them in a folder on my computer, and I'll use them again and again if I really if it goes with the video. So YouTube Studio, and everybody I believe is on YouTube. So you go into the studio and then they'll list audio tracks. and you can pick from the audio tracks, download it. It's totally free. Okay, you don't have to be a YouTube subscriber or anything like that. You just have to have a YouTube account, which pretty much everybody does. And there's some really good audio tracks. Some are like phenomenal. They're artists basically trying to get their music discovered. Sometimes you have to just list the artist, which is no big deal. That's the only prerequisite. Facebook also has the similar thing. You go into Facebook, just search for audio tracks, and they're free also. And I've used them, and they're actually very good. But anyway, that's kind of it. Like I said, we did well in our pool tournament. We're getting back into the swing of the summer and taking videos and pictures. And I know you had a lot of stuff going on recently, especially with Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, I am. I'm super busy. A lot of videos, a lot of going down Wildwood. I don't know. I can't. A lot that I can't even wrap my head around. It's all going well though. If you see the videos, Traveling Taste Buds, you'll see where I'm at. Yeah.
And one last thing I do want to touch on, because I actually had to deal with this on Thursday. So I have a domain site, which is PeterJosephJohnsonIV.com, which I paid for. I bought it. And that basically takes you, if you click that, it'll take you right to my webpage, my personal webpage for photography and drones and all that. So if you ever want to check it out, it needs to be updated, but it's fairly current. But here's the thing. I originally bought my domain, and I'm just giving everybody a heads up. I originally bought my domain on GoDaddy.com.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was I created my webpage. I didn't really like GoDaddy's format for their webpage. I liked Wix a lot better, and their support's a lot better. So I transferred, or I thought I transferred my domain to Wix. As it turns out, I got a bill for GoDaddy to renew it in like 5 or 6 days. I'm like, wait a minute. I said, I actually already renewed it for 10 years. I'm good till 2033. So I called GoDaddy, and to their credit, they walked me through it, how to officially transfer it. So if you have a domain and you want to transfer it, make sure it's transferred, okay? And if you want to, if you still have any questions, obviously I'm really breezing through this really quick. Inbox me, you can text me, whatever. Comments under our video when this posts. Speaking of which, we have a pool tournament tonight, so this will probably be posted in the next day or so. We're going to, not edit this because we always do this live. The only thing we'll do is, when we actually get set up, we actually cut out a few seconds. But this is totally live. We don't stitch anything together. All real. And again, we're going to get back next month. Just a teaser. We're going to be on vacation in Ocean City, Maryland. I'm kind of hoping to do maybe a beach podcast.
That works.
Yeah, maybe you and Megan.
That works.
And we'll do it like right at the beach, and actually showing you how to shoot photos on the beach.
Hold on, I have something to note off of what you just said. I have heard many things about GoDaddy, but I think the easiest and probably the best domain is probably Google Domains. So if you want an easy, and it's like $12 for a year. I mean, like, you can't beat that. So. And
make sure you renew them, because God forbid, like, mine is unique to my name. So if I ever let that expire, it might be tough to get the exact same thing. But anyway, well, listen, we're glad to be back. We're excited. The summer is kind of just hitting full gear right now, so we're excited. Don't be surprised if we do maybe 2 of these podcasts in 1 month just to catch up. Mm-hmm. And welcome back.
We're back.
We're back. All right. Cheerio.